Hello citizens, this is the imperishable Sammy Zenith here, and in this video I'm just going to be talking about the latest chapters of Dragon Ball Super in the Galactic Patrol Prisoner Saga. First of all, let me just say this has been one of my favorite arcs in Dragon Ball Super so far, possibly my top favorite, definitely my top favorite from the Dragon Ball Super manga. It's, I would say, Toyotaro's best writing, in my opinion. Because his adaptation of the Goku Black, slash Future Trunks arc was just okay, in my opinion, and, the, Tournament of Power arc was not very good. I think many people are in agreement on that because of how rushed it was. But this arc is definitely the opposite. Toyotaro is taking his time with it, taking his time to tell a good story. It's great pacing. I also love how each chapter sort of leaves you in suspense. That was one of the things I loved about the Future Trunks arc and the Tournament of Power arc in the anime. And though the anime is on hiatus, the manga definitely is a great appetizer to hold us over until the Dragon Ball Super anime inevitably returns. In fact, calling it an appetizer might be an understatement because I would say in terms of the art, it is much better than even how the anime looks. Art is definitely Toyotaro's strong suit. He's really great at emulating Toriyama's style, but at the same time sort of making it his own as well. Now, anyways, let's get on to the topic of this video. I mainly want to be talking about Goku's training with Maris for Ultra Instinct. I will be talking about some other things in this video as well, but that's mainly what I'm going to be talking about. So, as we all know, in the recent chapters of Dragon Ball Super, Goku has been training with Maris in the hyperbolic time chamber. Or, well, it's not quite the same dimension. It's a similar dimension, but the way time passes in this dimension is different than how it is in the hyperbolic time chamber, because while in the hyperbolic time chamber, 1 year equals 1 day in the outside world. In Maris's dimension, 3 days equals 1 day in the outside world. Nonetheless, it took Moro 2 months to get from where he was in the galaxy to Earth anyways, so it all worked out in the end, I suppose. So the question I'm sure has been lingering on everyone's minds is, how exactly is Goku going to re-attain Ultra Instinct? Because it seems like whenever Goku is able to tap into Ultra Instinct, it's sort of by accident. He's pretty much just, beaten up until he's on the verge of death, and that's the only way he's able to tap into Ultra Instinct. He isn't really able to do Ultra Instinct on command. So while Goku mastered Ultra Instinct in the tournament, he completed the technique, but that doesn't necessarily mean he truly mastered it, because mastering it implies that you're able to use it on command, and Goku can't really do that. So I guess when Goku eventually does learn to do that, which is bound to happen at some point, I'm guessing it would be called Controlled Ultra Instinct. instead of just mastered Ultra Instinct, because we already have that. Who knows? The point is, it's not really clear what exactly Goku achieved in his training with Maris. When he finished training with Maris, the way his hair was shaped sort of resembled Ultra Instinct, actually, implying that he was able to use it at some point during his training with Maris. The problem with Ultra Instinct is that it's not really a reliable technique. So if he faces off against Moro, what are the chances that he'll even be able to access Ultra Instinct? No one really knows, not even he knows. So yeah, while Goku does seem pretty confident in facing off against Moro, it really does make you wonder, exactly what tricks does Goku have up his sleeve? Did he manage to achieve some sort of control over Ultra Instinct? Are there any clues within the recent chapters of Dragon Ball Super that will give us an idea as to how he might have managed to do this? Well, in my opinion, yes, there actually is a clue as to how Goku might have been able to gain some control over his Ultra Instinct potential. So when Goku is training against Maris, at one point while they are taking a break from training, and Goku is scarfing down a whole bunch of food, that's that's what Goku does. He loves, like, eating large bowls of rice and stuff like that because he's a Saiyan. He uses a lot of energy, so he has to replenish all of that energy. Goku asks Maris why he is choosing not to eat anything, and Maris says he does not actually need to eat, and that makes sense because we learned that Maris is in fact an angel, and angels don't have the same biological needs as human beings or Saiyans. But when Maris tells Goku that he doesn't need to eat, it doesn't really make a difference, Goku actually has an interesting response. He says, well, if you aren't going to eat, then I won't eat either. I want to try and be more like you. And Maris, like the other angels, has Ultra Instinct naturally, I would assume. It's never been officially stated, but I think all of the angels naturally have Ultra Instinct, like they're born with Ultra Instinct. After all, we know that angels are the most powerful beings in the entire multiverse, except for Zeno, of course. Not only that, but angels are born with all of these magical abilities. I don't see why it would be that far-fetched for them to have Ultra Instinct innately. So if Goku's aiming to indirectly be more like the angels, it would make sense that he would try to be more like Maris, in the sense that he should continue training and fighting while in a fasted state. And how might this help? Well, I do have a theory about that, and it's sort of backed up by science. And that would, in fact, be ketones. Yes, ketones. So when you're fasting for a prolonged period of time, your body stops using carbohydrates as its primary source of energy and starts producing a different sort of energy called a ketone. And the fat molecules within your body act as sort of like a precursor to what would become these ketones. Therefore, fat becomes the preferred source of fuel for your body rather than carbohydrates when you are fasting or perhaps just restricting yourself from carbohydrates. Now, something that has always been sort of ambiguous about Ultra Instinct is what exactly is the source of energy that Goku or Beerus or Master Roshi or whoever else is utilizing while in this Ultra Instinct state, because it doesn't seem to be regular ki, and it doesn't seem to be God ki either. It seems to be this sort of mysterious heat. It's not really clear as to what it is, but there's a very clear distinction between this and the other sorts of energy that we've seen previously in the Dragon Ball Super. But there seems to be a very clear distinction between the energy that Ultra Instinct uses in comparison to, for instance, base form, Super Saiyan God, etc. Even though Ultra Instinct is recognized as the ultimate technique of the gods, it was never stated that you have to be a god or a godlike being in order to achieve Ultra Instinct. Even though Master Roshi was only able to use a rudimentary version of Ultra Instinct, that still implies that he at least has the potential to achieve the completed version of Ultra Instinct. My theory is that anyone with the proper training can learn Ultra Instinct. In fact, I think some of Goku's mentors from way back in Dragon Ball, such as Mr. Popo and Korin, may have some sort of indirect knowledge of Ultra Instinct, which is sort of implied when Goku had a flashback to all of his previous martial arts mentors from the Dragon Ball and early Dragon Ball Z days. Anyways, my theory basically is Goku is able to utilize Ultra Instinct whenever his body is being pushed to the limit. And Goku is someone who's always had an enormous appetite, so challenging himself to not eat anything would definitely be more or less pushing his own body to the limit. Therefore, while he's in a fasted state, it's almost as if he's always on the verge of Ultra Instinct. So, what I'm saying is, perhaps the key to Ultra Instinct, or should I say the ketones to Ultra Instinct, which would be a reference to the pun in the title of this video. What if the key to Ultra Instinct is being in this fasted state like the angels seem to be in all the time, innately? I definitely do think we'll be seeing Ultra Instinct Goku sometime during this arc. I think when Goku faces off against Moro, he'll definitely access it at some point, whether by accident or perhaps he'll actually demonstrate some sort of control over the technique. And perhaps even after this arc is concluded, he won't even need to be in ketosis anymore to act in order to access Ultra Instinct. But it remains to be seen whether this fasting that Goku has been doing will have anything to do with him reawakening Ultra Instinct. That remains to be seen. It's just a theory. It's just my speculation. But if Martin Cabello 3 has been teaching me anything, it would be that ketones are the key to healing your bones for the ultimate power. We shall see. We shall see if Dragon Ball Super supports Prophet Martin Cabello 3's teachings to humanity. So let's discuss some other questions that are on my mind about the Galactic Patrol prisoner, the current Galactic Patrol prisoner arc, which would be whether Goku's Ultra Instinct will be enough to defeat Moro. Personally, I think Goku's theory about Ultra Instinct being effective against Moro, even if he starts absorbing Goku's energy, I think Goku's theory will be proven correct. However, as we know, Moro does have an ace up his sleeve, and that ace up his sleeve would, of course, be 7-3, the android 7-3. 7-3 was defeated by the likes of Android 18, Android 17, Gohan, Piccolo, and the other Z fighters. But Moro, instead of killing off Android 7-3 in a classic villain fashion, Moro actually spared 7-3, knowing that he might be useful later on. And I think what's going to happen is Goku will tap into Ultra Instinct and beat the crap out of Moro. And just when it seems like Goku has won the fight, Goku's Ultra Instinct will run out. It will expire because I don't think at this point in time Goku has a great enough control over Ultra Instinct such that it doesn't drain stamina rapidly and take a toll on his body. So I think Goku will run out of energy, especially if Moro is absorbing energy and sort of accelerating the rate at which the Ultra Instinct transformation times out. And then Goku will be pretty much out of energy, and what do you know it, 7-3 emerges fully healed, and he proceeds to heal Moro, and then Moro and 7-3 pretty much lay the beat down on Goku. And just when it seems like all hope is lost, the true savior of this arc will show up on planet Earth. And that, of course, would be Vegeta. Now, this is something that many fans have hypothesized, which is that this arc will finally be Vegeta's victory over the main villain of the arc. Personally, I'm on board with this theory. I do think that since Goku arrived on Earth first rather than Vegeta, Vegeta will in fact be key to finishing off Moro and his henchmen once and for all, rather than Goku this time around. And honestly, it's about time, because Vegeta has never had a victory over the main antagonist of an arc. So honestly, it's about time that this finally transpires. So that leaves the question, in terms of Vegeta's Yard Rat training, what exactly is Vegeta learning right now that will be useful against Moro? Obviously, Vegeta is doing a similar sort of training to what Goku did in the Android Saga, or prior to the Android Saga, the spirit control training, but obviously Vegeta is going to emerge with a far more advanced version of that, because not only is Vegeta more powerful than Goku was back then, but Vegeta now is a far more experienced fighter than Goku was back then. So Vegeta is learning, he may or may not be learning the instant transmission. Maybe he'll learn the instant transmission just to get to Earth in a timely fashion, but I think he's going to learn a spirit control technique that's far more advanced than anything Goku learned within the scope of his training on Yardrat. Decades before. Well, actually, let me think. In the Dragon Ball timeline, how long ago was Goku's Yardrat training before the current events of Dragon Ball Super? Let me think. I think it would be like nearly 2 decades. Not quite 2 decades, but close to that. Anywho, Vegeta is going to have something far more advanced from the spirit control skill tree of the Yardrats, or Yardratians, or whatever you would call a specimen of that race. My theory is that Vegeta is going to have some sort of technique to where when Moro absorbs Vegeta's energy, the energy that Moro absorbs from Vegeta will still belong to Vegeta. So when Goku absorbs that energy into that body, Vegeta will still have control over it. Moro won't be able to use that energy in any way. And not only that, but that energy will actually have some sort of toxic effect on Moro's body, to where Vegeta can do whatever he wants with that energy, regardless of where he is, and he can pretty much damage Moro's body from the inside out. This technique, in my opinion, if this is along the lines of the technique Vegeta will demonstrate, I think this technique will definitely even the playing fields a bit, because Vegeta was rather upset that his strength alone wasn't enough to defeat Moro, because of the magic abilities that Moro had being too overwhelming for someone like Vegeta or Goku, who mainly relies on their raw power. And, well, of course they do have a lot of, martial arts techniques and skill, but for the most part, Dragon Ball is all about power. The characters rely on power. And because Moro is such a different threat than anyone they've encountered before, I think a technique like the one I just described would be more fitting for Vegeta's character, because it would allow him to even the playing fields in such a way that he can pretty much negate Moro's magic hacks abilities and make the fight once again about power rather than hacks abilities. So I think I'm going to wrap up the video here. I just basically wanted to share some of my ideas and observations about the latest chapters in the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc. I hope you all are liking this arc of Dragon Ball Super as much as I am. I can't wait to see what happens next. I suppose we will be finding out in less than 2 weeks, so be sure to leave a like in the video, and leave a dislike if you think the vegan diet is the key to Ultra Instinct. After all, that's what this war really boils down to vegans versus carnivores, am I right? Anyways, I plan on making many more Dragon Ball discussion videos in the future, so if that's something you enjoy and look forward to, then subscribe to this channel, because I am as big a Dragon Ball fan as I am a Sonic fan. So, yeah, that is all. I am signing out now. Goodbye, everybody.